We'll be exploring across space and time with today's episode of Game Spotlight, a series where I talk about various games on various consoles and could possibly help you find your next favorite game. So without further ado, let's get into today's game, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time and Darkness. Released for the Nintendo DS on April 20th, 2008, these games were the second in the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon spin-off series. These games are developed by Chunsoft, who developed a lot of the Mystery Dungeon games for different game series, including Dragon Quest. In fact, they even developed the first handful of mainline Dragon Quest games for Enix. That aside though, for those who don't know what a Mystery Dungeon game is, they're basically roguelikes or dungeon crawlers in which the player goes through procedurally generated levels, fighting enemies with turn-based combat on a grid system until they reach whatever the end goal of the game is. The main difference between traditional roguelikes and the Mystery Dungeon games is probably the lack of a permadeath system. While the players may die or become too injured to go on, and their progress will be reset to the beginning of the dungeon, these games typically provide ways to store materials and other things retrieved in dungeons, since you lose everything if you die in a dungeon. This game was a sequel, and since it was released after the 4th generation of Pokemon, this game features nearly all of them, excluding only Shaman and Arceus as they had not been revealed yet. This game also added improved Wi-Fi functionality, and of course, being on DS, this game had more touch control options as well. As with the previous games, you play as a human who has been turned into a Pokemon, the Pokemon you play as being determined by a personality test that you take at the beginning of the game. The playable Pokemon for this game are Bulbasaur, Charmander, Squirtle, Pikachu, Meowth, Chikorita, Cyndaquil, Totodile, Trico, Torchic, Mudkip, Skitty, Turtwig, Chimchar, Piplup, and Munchlax. After this, a partner Pokemon is selected from any of the above Pokemon with the exception of them not being able to be the same type as the player. The gameplay loop is very much like the previous game, in which you would progress the story, but also most likely be spending most of your time doing rescue missions, earning money that can be used in Treasure Town. There you'll find a bank for storing coins, a move learning dojo, an item shop, a storage area for storing items, and a training dojo. This is all important since if you or your partner dies while in a dungeon, you will both be sent back, losing all of your money and at least half of your items. But other than new Pokemon and a couple of new items and moves, this game isn't much different from its predecessor. It's the story of this game that makes it shine as the best Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game to date. It's hard to really discuss the depth to the story of this game without really getting into major spoilers, but I'll do my best. You, the player, are washed ashore and discovered by a timid Pokemon who wants to create an exploration team. Though you've lost all your memories, you agree to do this, and go to the Wigglytuff Guild to join. Eventually, word gets around of a thief, Grovyle, who's going around stealing the time gears, which stabilize the flow of time. The guild enlists the help of Dusknoir, a famous explorer who has the ability to see through time, also known as the Dimensional Screen. There are many more time and space-related shenanigans that all come together to make one of the deepest stories in a Pokemon game. Not that there's much competition for that title. Whether there's a competition or not, though, this game's story is really good, and I would say makes up most of the reason you should play this game. When it comes to criticism, this game is similar to all the other Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games in that it gets pretty mixed reviews, though generally positive. A lot of these complaints can be boiled down to either the reviewer not knowing what a roguelike is, or not playing through the whole game. For example, the criticism of the game being too repetitive, or even some reviewers who just don't play through the whole game and thus don't realize how deep the story gets, after its admittedly cliche beginnings. This is just another reason why I never completely can trust big game review companies' reviews, since I would 100% recommend this game. The game also isn't too bad price-wise, so there's another reason. If you're not too big on dungeon crawlers or grindy games in general, this may not be the game for you. However, this game really isn't too hard, and if you like Pokemon or are interested in what the story has to offer, definitely get this game. There you have it, folks. One of the best Pokemon spin-off games there is. Of course, leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you like this kind of content, and comment what game I should do next. And with that, I will see you all next time.